Hello, friends and neighbors. Welcome back to the Brownstone. My name is Rich Brown. I hope you had an amazing week. I did, actually. There's a lot of stuff happening, so stay tuned for a lot of new music, really good music coming from right here in Toronto with myself and some dear friends. I will keep you posted and let you know how that's going. Make sure you're following me on all my socials. There's a link in the description box that lets you know where I am on the Twitters and the Instagrams and the Facebooks. So make sure you're following me to keep yourself posted on everything that's going on in and outside of the Brownstone. Today, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about left hand technique and really strengthening the individual fingers. There was a question in the comments of a previous video. I can't remember who it was that asked the question, but hopefully they will make themselves known in the comments below. They raised a good question about strengthening the individual fingers of the left hand and what can be done to make sure that that each finger is at its best and sort of at equal strength. Okay, well, there are a couple of things that we should look at. And one of them is the placement of the thumb. Now, if I was one of those big fancy channels that had more than one camera, I would set up an angle behind me so you could see where my thumb is placed. But unfortunately, it's just me and that camera. So what I'll do is give you two different placements of the thumb. Both I use a lot. When I bring my left hand to the fingerboard, my thumb is pretty much behind my first finger on an angle. So here's what I'm doing here. I'm placing my hand as it sits sort of comfortably and normally on the fingerboard, and then I will freeze that hand, take it away, and show you what's going on. That's the grip. So you can see my thumb is at a bit of an angle. That's what I'm doing there. That's what I bring to the fingerboard. I don't know if that helps you at all, but that's what I'm doing. So my thumb is pretty much behind my index finger. And with that, I'm able to play with all of the fingers sort of comfortably positioned on the neck without any fingers sort of flying away. This would be sort of everyone's exercise one, where you just want to play 4 fingers per fret, 4 notes per string. That's the common exercise that everyone does. And then backwards. That's the common exercise. I have a variation on this exercise that makes it a little more musical, I guess. And it's also just a way to play the chromatic scale, like every note of all 12 tones of the scale. And it's simply this. What I do is I play that 4-note pattern on the E string. Here I'm on A, 5th fret of the E string. I play those 4 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then what I do is I move down to the next string, A, and then move down a fret. So I'm at the 5th fret of the E string, and I play 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I move down to the 4th fret of the A string, and I play 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I move down to the 3rd fret of the D string, 1, 2, 3, 4. You see where I'm going? 2nd fret of the G, and that's an ascending chromatic scale. Now, when I descend on the scale, I do the same thing in reverse, but when I get to my last note, which in this case is the 5th fret of the G string, C, I move up 1 fret. And here what happens is I play the pattern in reverse. So I play 4, 3, 2, 1. And now what I do is I move up a string and up a fret. So if I'm at the 6th fret of the G, then I move up to the 7th fret of the D string, 8th fret of the A string, 9th fret of the E string, and then I slide back 1 fret with my index finger and I'm back at A. So the entire chromatic scale pattern goes like this. That's the entire pattern. So, very important, my thumb is in the middle of the neck and it's on this kind of an angle, right? Like that. So my fingers aren't flying away. Everything is pretty centered, right? So that's one thing you can practice. If you want to just focus on playing those 4 notes on one string, then you can just go back and forth, like so. And then you can also mix and match. Like if I'm numbering these notes from 1 to 4, then I can practice like 1, 2, 3, 4. I can also practice 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, and go back and forth like that. I can also practice 1, 3, 2, 4, and backwards. Whoops. But I like this idea of turning it into some kind of melody, even if it's just a chromatic scale. So this is what I usually practice. So there are a couple of things to keep in mind, especially if you're a beginner. You want to make sure that you're playing right behind the fret, almost right on top of it, but like right behind it. This sort of eliminates all of the buzzing and the noise that you could normally hear if you're not playing in the proper position. That could remedy the situation. If you're hearing a lot of noise, a lot of fret noise when you play, it might be the position of the finger and your placement of where you are in proximity to the fret. So very close to the fret, almost right on top of it. There's a little bit of buzzing there, but there, now it's gone. So yeah, that's the exercise. It's kind of easy to keep track because if I think of, you can just think of the numbers of the frets. So here, 5th fret, 4th, 3rd fret, 2nd fret. Now I'm at the 5th fret, so I go 6th fret, 7th, 8th, 9th. I'm back at the 5th. So the next exercise involves the same movement where I'm moving 1 string and 1 fret. But what happens is, before I was playing this 4 fret span, playing 4 notes. This time, check this out. I'm only going to be playing the 1st and the 4th note. That's it. So here's what we do. I play the 1st and the 4th, and then here I move up to the A string and up 1 fret. So I play, that's A to C. That's, what is that? E flat to G flat. Then I move up to the 7th fret, 1, 4, A to C again. And that's it. E flat to G flat. So here, I'm really working on the strongest and technically the weakest finger to make sure that all of the notes there are sounding as even and as equal as possible. So again, that's just the first note and the fourth note of a 4-fret span. And then I move up 1 string and 1 fret. So here I'm on the 6th fret. Then I move up to the 7th fret of the D, 8th fret of the G. And then I go backwards. So making sure I'm playing first finger and little finger. Now, here's where things get interesting. This is a diminished scale that moves in intervals of minor thirds. That's a minor third. That's a minor third. That's a minor third. That's a minor third. Now, here's what I can do with this. I can take this diminished scale, moving in minor thirds, and add or apply one of the sequential patterns to this scale. Now, when I do this, what happens is I'm going to be playing 2 different patterns, and those 2 patterns will involve all of the fingers in a different kind of sequence. It's cool because it's an unusual sequence, but it's something obviously with repetition that you'll get used to, and you'll be strengthening the individual fingers of the left hand. So here is what happens. So if I break this scale down into 4-note groupings, here is what we get. I have my first 4 notes played in the same way that we played in the previous exercise, just working through the scale itself. But then I have to start my next sequence of 4 notes from the 2nd note of my scale, which is, in this case, the note C. Now, if I look at where my hand is positioned, that C can easily be accessed by my 3rd finger on the E string. Then I move down to the A string and I play 1st finger, 4th finger. And then a minor third up from there is going to be my 2nd finger in this same position on the D string. Now, those 2 patterns, the first pattern being these 4 notes, the second pattern being these 4 notes. This is going to be a little trickier because here I'm just thinking 3 as far as my fingers are concerned. I've got 3rd finger, 1st finger, 4th finger, 2nd finger. 3, 1, 4, 2. So again, really working the individual fingers in a way that's a little unusual because now you've got a different sequence happening and you're also playing over more than 1 string. So it's pretty interesting. So that 8-note sequence is essentially the entire exercise. Because the cool thing is, here where my first finger is already playing, that's where I start the whole 8-note sequence over again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So here I'm starting on A. I play 1st finger, 4th finger. And then I move up to the 6th fret of the A string. 1st finger, 4th finger. 5th fret of the E, 1st finger, 4th finger. 6th fret of the A, 1st finger, 4th finger. So those are the first 4 notes in our 8-note sequence. Here is the second set of 4 notes. The second grouping of 4 notes is going to involve the 4-note sequence starting from the 2nd note of the scale. In this case, the note C at the 8th fret of the E string. Now, if I look at what's going on here physically, my 3rd finger is in perfect position to play that note. Now, I don't necessarily have to think of the notes or naming the notes. check this out. I've got third finger, first finger on the next string, which is A, fourth finger on the same string, and then second finger on the D string. So that's C, E flat, G flat, A. Or 8th fret of the E, 6th fret of the A, to the 9th fret of the A, to the 7th fret of the D, and I'm playing third finger, first finger, fourth finger, second finger. 3, 1, 4, 2. Bit of a different sequence as far as the way the fingers are set up. But it's kind of cool. Now, again, my thumb is on that angle right in the middle of the back of the neck. And I'm making sure that my fingers stay put as I play those notes. So you can see the way the sequence kind of moves through the scale. It's just those two phrases. So 1, 4, 1, 4, and then 3, 1, 4, 2. Those are the fingers that I'm using. Now, the third note of my scale is going to be that E flat at the 6th fret of the A string. So then I just repeat that 8-note sequence over again. And then, that's my highest note. So the entire pattern is as follows. Very cool, because here I'm really focusing on making sure all the fingers are comfortable and relaxed. That's the other thing with any exercise. You want to make sure you're playing as relaxed as you possibly can. So that's the pattern ascending, and then we can reverse that same pattern. So here I'm playing 4, 1, 4, 1. And then here, second finger on the G, fourth finger on D, on the D string, down to the first finger, oops, third finger. So the reverse of what we had before. And those are my 8 notes. So that's the entire exercise. I hope that makes sense. The only thing I forgot to mention was the other position of the thumb. So the first position had the thumb on that angle placed pretty much like right behind the index finger. The other position, if that feels a little bit too weird, is you can place your thumb basically behind the second finger. So you can see the way my hand is there, right? And then try that. Like I said, I use both. When my thumb is a little more straight up, less of that angle happening, but a little more straight up behind my second finger, what happens is I'm able to make longer sort of stretches if I keep my thumb in place and then sort of pivot the thumb so that I can make a bit more of a span happening if I need to. That way, if I'm playing like a big stretch like that, I don't have to move my thumb. My thumb stays planted and it's just sort of like rocking. So that's one advantage to that position. But if it's not comfortable, those are your two options. You have the thumb placed on a bit of an angle, or the thumb right behind the second finger, the middle finger, middle finger, yeah. I had to look. You believe that? Anyway, the thumb placed right behind the middle finger, a little more straight up, like parallel to where the little finger is. Practice both of those positions and see which one works best for you. There are no wrong answers here, as long as you're not feeling any pain. That whole no pain, no gain thing, that doesn't apply here. If you're feeling pain or if you're feeling pressure, then there's something that needs to be adjusted in order to make the exercise and your playing in general feel more relaxed. Because pain is not productive. Pain is not productive in this case. So, yes, make sure you're playing as relaxed as possible. Make sure that your fingers are locked in a position so that your fingers aren't flying away when you start to use like the third and fourth fingers especially. Try to keep everything planted, nice and close together. I keep going back to this exercise because it's the one that everyone just sort of instinctively plays. But try this chromatic pattern. Always a good exercise. That's my first exercise for the day, and then we did the diminished thing. And then we played that diminished pattern using a 4-note sequence. And that is it. Friends and neighbors, boys and girls, have fun with those, and keep asking questions in the comments. If you like this video, please click like. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Share this with as many people as you possibly can. And, you know, there are a bunch of videos on the channel that you can check out. If you haven't before, please do. And share those as well. I'm here to help you to become the best musicians that you possibly can. So yes, let's keep the dialogue happening. Keep asking questions. These questions will influence future content, so that we're all helping each other. What else can I say? You also have the option to donate to the channel if you feel like these lessons are of some value to you. And of course, every single donation is greatly appreciated. It keeps me going. And then maybe I'll get to the point where I can buy another camera and put it on the back of my hand so you can see what's going on with my thumb. My name is Rich Brown. Thank you so much for tuning in, friends and neighbors. Peace and love, and I'll see you in the next video.